We begin our episode in the black void that is space, home to billions and billions of stars, but one shines brighter than the rest.
Madam, you can count on Honest John.
I'm Captain O.G. Readmore. I encourage people to, read more. Get it?
Let's get something straight right here and now, Ipkiss. No one pulls my underwear over my head and gets away with it. Because I have a hunch the mask is Stanley Ipkiss.
Little does the unsuspecting public know that the answer lies deep in the heartland of the good old USA, where something was definitely rotten in the state of dementia.
Once my obedient puppet has destroyed his powerful friends, I will activate my criminal army and quickly terrorize and dominate the city. I shall be master!
Stop! You're tickling my tentacles!
Good afternoon, sports fans.
Oh, goody! More Air Jordans for me!
Never! Nix! No way! No time! Not now! Not ever! No!
The chase begins, and Entrobe and Kid Chaos race their ill-gotten brains into their tin corn getaway 18-wheeler transport trailer to Entrobe's secret hideout in the Himalayas.
I'm very sorry to interrupt your shower, but there's a matter of some urgency.
Double jeopardy, Spider-Man? There's no way you could save two of them at the same time.
Is there?
No!
And when I am the victorious conqueror of your new realm, I shall ask only one boon. One prize. Fairer than all the rest, the hand of the beautiful Lady Dorma.
Turn back! You're too little. You can't do it. You'll be sorry.
Well, you'll be all right. It's just a bent spungamonger. But there won't be any mountain climbing for a few days.
You mean you sabotaged the generator on purpose?
Please wait while we scan for concealed weapons.
This is plastic explosive. Catch! Ah, Plantagenet, such a lovely pig. Still much too lean to yield much meat.
Oh, that's the best news I've heard in a long time.
Don't be so nervous. I'm not with Cobra. I'm with myself and anybody who can pay my price. Now, you want to pay my fee and get out of here? Or hang around and pray for urban renewal?
And so until next time, Chili Champs, stay sharp, stay smart, and get hyper!
Welcome to the Gamerz realm. Welcome to the Gamerz realm. Yeah. DJ the gamer, yes I'm back. Go put out the bolo. No, that's not Mr. Switch, that's the homie CHRONOZ. Case you haven't heard, it's a brand new day. About to sneak into the game like a ninja key way. And I will never hit my peak though. Yes, I'm a gamer, this the Geek Show. Early in the morning I be cooking, see just what I'm making. It'll wake you up, that's awake and bacon. Other rappers gonna envy me. Wanna level up, yeah, I got my EXP. You better pack your bags, you gon' need a vacation. Father and a gamer like I'm Ryan Drayson. Moved up to a pro from a rookie. Shout out my man CHICHUKI. Becoming stronger, in case you could not tell. Now welcome to the Gamerz realm.
Hey, welcome to the Gamerz Realm podcast. My name is CHRONOZ. I'm your host today and co-host Ryan Drayson.
Hey guys, what's up?
And we have a special treat for you guys. We have an amazing guest. We have an amazing voice actor who's done a lot of voices from anything from Transformers, Spider-Man, G.I. Joe, even Back to the Future 2, An American Tale, and so much more that we can talk about during the podcast. I want to welcome you guys, Neil Ross.
Hi, fellas. Hi, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
And I'm very glad to have you here, and thank you for this opportunity. I've got a little nerves going, but let's get the show started. Oh,
come on. It's just three guys talking. With hopefully millions listening in. Or watching.
Well, we'll definitely have a great time conversating and getting to know you. Let's get down with a little bit of history, a little bit behind the scenes, how this all started with you with voice acting, and take your time and let's go with there. Go with that.
Well, the Cliff Notes version is I became fascinated as a child by all the different voices that I would hear. We didn't have a television set, so it was pretty much the radio. And I would hear all these, as I said, amazing different voices, high ones, low ones, medium ones, rough ones, soft ones, smooth ones, people who had accents, people who had funny speech patterns. And I began trying to reproduce what I heard, not with any thought of, I will make this my life's work. It was just fun to do, you know. Some kids build model airplanes, and I sat in my room and talked to myself. At least that's what my father accused me of doing. All right, fade in, fade out. I got into the radio business as a disc jockey. Did that for about 20 years, but sort of midway through that, I suddenly became aware that there was this business called voiceovers. I'd never heard of it, and almost nobody had in those days. I'm talking about 1970. Nobody knew the business existed outside of the handful of people who were in it. And once I found that it existed, I said, I've got to get into this. I cannot think of a job more perfect for my stupid little skill set. This is tailor-made for me. So it took me a few years to actually make it happen. It took about 10 years to make it happen, but I managed to make the transition from radio to voiceovers, and haven't had a job since. I mean, a real job. Where you got to show up on a regular basis. It's all freelance and voiceovers. You never know what the hell you're going to do from one day to the next. So that's the short version.
And
if that stimulates any questions, go ahead.
Ryan, do you want to go ahead and start off?
Yeah, so, I mean, you check out your IMDb page or on Wikipedia. I mean, we've had other voice actors on the show. That's no secret, and we talk about, you know, people that do the voices of our childhood. But and I don't know. Hopefully you've heard this before. Maybe not. You are kind of like a who's who laundry list of the voices of our childhood. And anyone that's watching, you know, check out Neil's website or on IMDb or what's it called? Wikipedia. All of the things that he's been in. The picture that we showed is just a small sample of what he's done. I guess I would start with, how did you get into Hollywood in particular? Was that through the G.I. Joe and Transformers shows doing movies, or had you had opportunity to work on Hollywood productions prior to that?
No, well, kind of the way it worked then, and it still works today. Really, if you want to get into the serious stuff, you must get an agent. And so that was sort of job one for me. The first, well, to begin with, voiceovers in those days only existed in Los Angeles and New York, and a little bit in Chicago. And all the animation was out in Los Angeles, so that made it a no-brainer for me. But when I hit town, I just sort of had a two-pronged thing where I was trying to get an agent, and I was going to all these workshops. And I went to a number of voiceover workshops run by various people, and I began to learn. And eventually, miraculously, I got an agent. That led to auditions, which is how you get 99.9% of the work in voiceovers. You got to show up and read for it. Once in a while, a job falls out of the sky, but as I said, 99 9/10 of the time, you're showing up and you're auditioning. So that's how I got into these things. My agent would say, you got a chance to audition for such and such. And I said, hallelujah, jumped in the car, ran over, and once in a while, I would bag the job, to my amazement. And I must tell you, as a guy who was basically a local disc jockey, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you suddenly find yourself in Hollywood. And I'll never forget the day that I drove into Hanna-Barbera to actually work for Hanna-Barbera. And I got to the gate, and the guy said, "What's your name?" And I told him, and to my amazement, the gate went up, and I got in. And I'll never forget that. And walking into that studio, and there were people like Joni Gerber and Michael Bell and Frank Welker, and they probably weren't there that day. You know, in my memory, they all are, and I would meet them eventually. But it was like a young bit player getting to be in a movie with Clark Gable and Vivian Leigh and going, oh my God, I'm on the same set as these people. I was just thrilled to pieces. I never thought I'd get there. You know, because I was fooling around with voices and stuff on a local level down in San Diego, and I did some stuff, and people were going, "You're really great." You know, I'm thinking, well, thank you, but what do you guys know? You know, I could show up in LA and get thrown out in 30 seconds. Imposter, disc jockey, get him out. But luckily enough, that didn't happen, and I managed to really have an astonishingly wonderful career. I'm so grateful, and it, you know, I've spent virtually my entire adult life doing what I like doing, what I love doing. And so many people have to, you know, spend just huge chunks of their lives doing things they really don't have any desire to do just to make a buck. So I'm well aware of how really fortunate I have been in that respect, because I enjoyed every damn minute of it. I must tell you.
That's very awesome. I want to welcome you guys real quick. A little late, but a little late, better than, you know, he showed up. I'm glad to have him here. Kotetsu, what's up, dude?
Hey,
you know, co-host.
It's I can't say it's a nice sunny Friday afternoon because I live in Cali and it's like cloudy and smoke clouds and ash in the air right now. So, but you know,
yeah, from far away. My wife spotted that a day or two ago. She said, "There must be a fire somewhere."
Yeah,
look at the sky, and I'm going, "There's not." I'm looking on the headlines. Turns out it's from way up north.
Mm-hmm.
My God, it's amazing.
Yeah. I knew. I left my house yesterday, and I was like, first, besides seeing the clouds, you can kind of smell it, and I'm like, there has to be a fire somewhere, and I'm like, but it looks like it's far enough away where it's not concern to us, but I'm sure it's concern to others. But like for us, we're like, we're okay, but you can still just see it. Just from where I'm at, you can still see all the cloud, the smoke clouds and everything like that. But other than that, I'm here. You know, woke up this morning. I can't complain about that.
All right, cool. Do you have a question yourself, Kotetsu, right now?
Well, first of all, I just want to say, first of all, I just want to say it's a real honor to be sitting here and talking to you. Like Ryan said, you know, you've voiced so many, you know, characters and been in so many shows and even some games as well that I've played that I didn't know that you played these characters until I was like, oh man, he played that. That's really cool. But yeah, I'll work up to my question for you when I do come up with one.
Okay, thank you, Kotetsu.
I just want to quickly point out the crawl at the bottom of the screen. You got it's N-E-I.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I don't know what happens if you go to N-E-I.
You know, I did it like a million times today.
Could be a porno site. That's all I know.
Let me at this moment.
The spelling. Over here. How do I
did it like a million times.
Everything is backwards.
Like if you like, hard I see it like for me. It's like point down. That's like.
Yes, that's the correct spelling there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. You know what's funny?
Go ahead.
I've noticed this. I was watching a little bit before I joined, and I realized, Neil, we have the same exact fan. I know it's a funny. I'm just like, I'll even point to it. Like, look, the same exact fan. Like I was looking at it in detail. I'm like, that's the same exact fan. It's not hard, but like that's the exact fan that I have sitting here. I have my ceiling fan on, but like that's the exact same fan that I have. So I have to come on here and mention that.
Yeah. You should give them a plug. I can't remember what the name of the.
I don't either.
But they work great.
Mm-hmm. So I do have one kind of quick question. So out of all, like like I said, you have a very amazing resume, and like Ryan said, this IMDb probably doesn't have everything you've done on here, but out of all of the characters you've voiced, what could you say was the most challenging one, the one that posed the most, like challenge or the most work that you had to do to kind of really embrace and bring that character to life?
Boy, I'm having trouble thinking of that because I suppose it's a tribute to the people that do the casting for these things. But in most cases, I always talk about an actor taking on a role. It's kind of like a suit, and sometimes you take a suit off the rack, put it on, and it fits perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Other times, we got to make some alterations. We got to nip and tuck and this and that. But for the most part, I guess there was one voice that I get myself into trouble. I do things at auditions to make the buyers laugh because I figure that'll soften them up. So I do some voice that I think is just horrendous, and that's what they pick. No, that was supposed to be a joke. I don't want to do that for 65 episodes. And there was one show called Kissy Fur, which fortunately I think everyone has forgotten.
Mm-hmm. I'm one of I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah. Well, I did a character in that I didn't enjoy doing that much. But most of the time, no, it's not a struggle. The only ones that are a struggle really are the throat rippers.
Oh, yeah.
You're doing something like this.
And you've got a director that says, that was kind of close. Let's do it again. Take 74. That can be a little, but that's just a function of your vocal cords frying on you. As I said, most of the stuff wasn't, by the time you go through the casting process, they pretty much have picked the right person or close to it.
Right.
So it's never that difficult, really.
You're right. Yeah, I totally agree when you mention, it's like putting on a tailored suit. I used to take acting classes, I think, probably like 5 years ago. I'm in my early 30s, so it was like 5-6 years ago. I took acting classes, and for me, I thought, you can just kind of. It was more of, I looked at it as you would play yourself in a situation, but that's not always the case. You have to kind of not be you, and you have to, like you said, you have to be the suit that they have here for you. And if the suit doesn't fit, you're like, hey, I have to adjust. The suit can't adjust to me. I have to adjust to the suit, so then I can be able to play this role.
You have to have something that attaches you to the part. I think, frankly, every actor is different. Mm-hmm. People use all kinds of different techniques. And I don't think there's any one size fits all. That's my frustration with classes. All I ever did was try stuff. Right. And most of the time they go, no, and you go, oh, okay. But once in a while they go, yeah, that's good. And I'd file that away. That was good. All right, I got to remember how to do that.
Right.
And as time passes, you get fewer and fewer no's and more yeses, and eventually you have some sort of a technique. That's how I did it. Now, I don't know. Maybe there's some great acting teacher who can say, here's step 1, here's step 2. Everybody do the same thing, and you'll all be great actors. I don't know. But I think you have to have something that anchors you to the character, even if it's just gossamer thin. There's a story, and I don't know if it's true or not. I read it somewhere. It's fascinating. It's supposedly when Gene Hackman was going to do The French Connection, which was this hugely successful movie that rocketed him to stardom. The first day of filming, he showed up and he stood there and he said, I've got to quit. I can't do this. I don't know how to play this part. And he was about to walk over to the director and say, look, I'm sorry, man. I know everybody's here and ready to go, but I just can't do this. And a production assistant ran up and handed him a hat and said, here's the hat the character wears. Remember that little pork pie hat he had?
I think
to
so.
Throw it in the back of the.
Yeah.
It's an old movie. Maybe you guys never even saw it. But anyway, he got the hat and he put it on, and he took it off and he looked at it and he put it on again and he said, "I suddenly knew how to play the part." A hat, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes that's all you've got is a hat, but it works.
Right.
The whole process fascinates me, and I really have no answers. I just have a million questions to this day.
I think your questions are pretty accurate, from your years of experience of playing, like I said, doing as much as you have done in the business yourself. So
I've got a fast one. Is there one that you just really hated to do, but you did it? You just hated it, but you had to go back to it. But people loved it so much, but you just hated it the most.
Well, again, that one role in Kissy largely because Lenny Weinrib. I don't know if you guys know who he was. He might be a little before your time, but he was one of the top animation guys for a long time. And Lenny was in the show, and he just used to laugh every time I did it, but not laughing with me. He was laughing at me, and so that, as I say, that part was not my finest hour. But it's not like you're out in the sun digging a ditch somewhere. It's you're in front of a microphone in a nice air conditioned studio. Suck it up and deal with it.
How about do you actually? I'm sure you love a lot of your voices throughout the years and have a lot of favorites. Do you have an ultimate favorite that you just love doing, or just you've always loved out of all the voices, or do you have like a top 2 or 3 or?
Well, over the years, I find my decision clouded by what the fans like. And so I tend to gravitate toward the characters that people talk about at conventions and whatnot. And, I think my 4 favorites would be Shipwreck and G.I. Joe, Springer in Transformers, the Green Goblin in Spider-Man, and Keith in Voltron. And those are my 4 top, and I enjoyed the hell out of every one of them.
Sweet.
I do have. Well, you mentioned Green Goblin. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
You played Green Goblin, and then they also brought you back to play. Did they bring you back to play Green Goblin for Marvel Future Fight for the mobile game, or did they
No.
take a voice clip and just said, "Oh, this is Neo. We just clipped them for the video game from the old series."
I don't remember doing a video game as the Green Goblin, but sometimes, the thing with games is it's a quick in and out. You do a one session that might last a couple of hours and you're gone, and it's easy to forget that stuff.
Right.
Whereas a cartoon show, you're doing multiple episodes and it gets into your memory bank. But I don't recall. They must have pulled a clip. I don't.
Yeah, that was a little bit. That was in your. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I think that was you mentioned. What was it? In your games. What was it? What chapter was it? Chapter 44 in games. Okay, we'll go into that in a little bit.
You're referring to my Deathless prose in my book.
Yes.
For those who were not following along. Yes, I have a book. It's called Vocal Recall, A Life in Radio and Voiceovers. There it is. There's that little sucker. It took a year of my life to produce. Look at that. Yes. Oh, I'm pointing the wrong way.
Kotetsu, move to the side.
Oh, that's how
Show
I
your
do it.
face.
Oh, this way.
There you are.
This way.
Yeah.
So I would do.
That way.
So you're referencing chapter 44, which is
Your guys right.
Which is titled Games, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I don't have a whole lot to say about games, and I feel bad. People come up to me at conventions and whatnot, and they want to talk about it, and I don't have any
favorite chapter.
I don't have any stories because you all, at least when I do it, I always work alone, and a lot of the great stories come out of the interaction between actors, but you're alone, and there's no storyline. You're just doing lines out of context, and in a lot of cases, you do one session and you're done. And there's just really no story to tell other than, well, the freeway was kind of crowded on the way over, which is not exactly a big thrill for the fans to hear about. So, while I do have a lot of interesting stories about stuff that happened in animation sessions, I really don't have too much to say about games. It's unfortunate, but there it is.
For those who are watching, real quick, I want to state that in the description down below, and as you're viewing the video, there is a link to his book. A link to the website where you can purchase the book as well. You could go into it says right there at the bottom, neilbook.com. Again, the links are directly in the description, even a bio, a little bit of everything, a lot of everything about his his career. But again, with the book itself, is that I was reading through it, the link, but I actually need to get my own personal. I need to have it by hand so I can take it to work and finish everything through, because it's very interesting. It's very good, and it gives you more details, more about anything from whether you want to go into games or sitcoms or narration. Some of the chapters I was going through, and movie voiceovers. So a lot of good stuff in there. More about his life, even when. It talks about how age 17 in New York, how you survived on $38.06 a week. It tells you more insight on that lifestyle.
Yeah, $38.06 a week. That's what I made in New York, and they paid in cash. 3 tens, a 5, 3 singles, a penny, and a nickel, in a brown envelope.
Oh man, yeah.
I never got paid like that again. It was like, you talk about old school, but that's how they did it.
I do have another question. How do you think the industry has changed, just from technology to the way that, the actors now perform? Like you mentioned before, like with video games, there's not as much interaction. Like if you were doing sitting there doing an animated film or animated TV show where you have your actors there with you, and you can kind of, either in a booth or you're sitting right across from them bouncing, you guys are just going back and forth. How do you think just the industry has changed from when you started to where it is now?
Well, huge changes technically. I mean, we did these shows on tape. It was I'm spacing the word. There's digital, and prior to that there was what? Not
the reels, but the
well, there's a word for it. Analog.
Yeah, analog. Yes,
that's what I was looking for.
Yes.
So we went from analog to digital, and I had to learn, because I was a pretty good guy with a tape recorder. I could splice, make edits. I could do all that stuff. And then along came digital, and I felt like a guy who's been driving a horse and buggy, and now he has to learn to fly a rocket ship. And but as far as the acting is concerned, that nothing really changed there, except in the old days they used to insist on having the full cast for every episode. No exceptions. I mean, there could be exceptions, but boy, they really pushed you to be there in person. And recently, when I've worked, it seems like I always work alone, and they splice it all together, which is nice. But I mean, there is just no substitute for the chemistry between two actors.
Yeah, I agree.
If I'm playing a scene, put somebody good opposite me, and I'll make them better, and they'll make me better. I mean, it's like a great volley in tennis. But if you're just in there all alone and you have to visualize how the other actor might say the line that he or she is going to say, there just isn't the chemistry that you get when actors work together. And it seems like lately, maybe because they're working with so many celebrities, and they're only available when they're available. And I think they've gotten into the habit of recording people solo. And okay, I'm game, whatever you want to do, but it's always better if the other actor is there, at least for me.
Right. I agree with that too. Because like you said, there's no other substitute then, and we've heard this from other actors as well, or voiceover actors as well. There's nothing like having someone right across so you can just feed off your chemistry, because then the lines will sound more authentic and more genuine than, like you said, imagining someone else saying it, because you can say it one way and imagine that person, you're imagining it, them saying it, and you react to what you hear them saying in your head. But when they record it, it can sound totally different, which could change the feeling or the dynamic of that interaction once the final product might be, might drop or something like that.
The other actor may surprise you, read the line in a way you never thought he was going to, and suddenly you're reacting to that reading, even though you're saying the line as written. There's a different interpretation suddenly pops out because based on what they did.
Exactly.
Ryan, did you have any questions as well that you wanted to add?
Yeah, I have a couple more. The first I would ask, what was it like, kind of like with the roles that you've held longer? I'm thinking of like the characters on G.I. Joe or Transformers. What was it like kind of building or developing the characters as you went along? Was there any kind of evolution in how you did the work, how you delivered the lines in character? Or if not, or kind of as an addendum to that, what was it like to there's only one example of this that I can think of. I know you played the Green Goblin in two different, let's see here, was the 1981 Spider-Man cartoon, or and then in the one that I'm most familiar with, the
Spider-Man the animated series.
Yeah,
in the 90s.
It came in the 90s.
Yeah. So what was it like to revisit that character, and kind of like how did your approach, or how did what you did with it, how did you work that?
Well, it had been 15 years, and I'm not sure that I even remembered what I did the first time around. I maybe had a vague memory. But now I'm working for a completely different group of people, and they're not interested in what I did 15 years ago. They want to do something for right now. So, I did the audition. They liked it. They cast me, and I just kept doing what I did in the audition. And anytime you get a new part, the first couple of episodes, you're kind of walking on cobwebs, and then you settle in, and the character becomes far easier for you to do. And I'm sure there's an evolution. I mean, if you look at a television series, if you happen to stumble on the pilot episode after the show's been on the air for 10 years, you look at it and go, "Oh, they weren't really doing it initially. They were close, but no, it's not quite what it is now." It's interesting. You do anything repetitively, you get better at it. It just happens.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's always impressed, like going back to even as a kid watching the show, how you could tell Norman Osborn and the Green Goblin are the same actor, but the range that you hit, it's clearly the same person's voice, but very different delivery and tone and just everything. It has always impressed me. But so the other thing that I wanted to ask about, I want to go back to talking about your book. And I guess let's start with a bit more encouraging people to check this out. I was really, really impressed with it, honestly. And there's always books about people where you're like, oh, they're interesting. What they do is interesting. You want to learn about them. But the thing with any kind of biographical material is there's always the possibility that it's kind of like dry and more delivering information, or kind of it's trying to give you an idea of like what it is to do that sort of thing, or like encouraging you. I found like the way that you write is really engaging. You have a very good sense, in my opinion, of storytelling, and so like I would, oh yeah, no problem. I would get to the end of a chapter and be like, oh, that was it, and not like in a bad way. Like you said what you needed to say, so it wasn't like I would make the chapters longer. But I got to the end and I was like, oh, that's it. I want to read more. I want to know what happens next. So I was really impressed by that, and I would highly recommend, regardless even of interest in your career, just to read an engaging story about someone's life. I would highly, highly recommend your book. But so I believe in one of the early chapters, I've been reading through in order and only to about chapter 8 so far.
It's all downhill from there. That's good.
I'll decide that for myself. I've been enjoying it so far. So yeah, I bet I'll enjoy the rest of it too. But you talked about like you have a gift for, I think how you put it is figuring out, or not even figuring out, like knowing the right words to say. Is that just something that you've always had?
Yes.
Or has that developed through the course of your life? And again, frankly, very, very impressed with that. Absolutely comes across.
I think it's a gift. Some people, it's like if I had another life to live over and I could choose what talent I came into the world with, I would love to have been a musician. But I have absolutely no talent in that area whatsoever. But I liken my ability to work with the English language to a musician, to a musician who is able to sit down at a piano and just figure out a tune, without any lessons, or they just sit down and to me, I'm just seeing a sea of keys, and whatever I hit sounds horrible. And, they sit down and in 2 seconds they're playing a song. And it's kind of like that for me with language. People will say, I wrote something, can you clean it up? And I look and I go, I should have done that. And I fix it and I send it to them. They go, this is wonderful. How do you do that? And I said, how can you not be able to do that? It's so easy. But I realize, of course, it's a gift. And, I'm not the greatest writer on the planet, but I'm pretty proud of the book. And I read a lot of autobiographies by actors. And I found them very frustrating. They would talk about things that weren't that interesting, and then they'd say, then I made a movie with Richard Burton and Lee Marvin. Then a year later, and I go, wait a minute, you work with these two guys? You don't have a story? You got drunk somewhere and, got arrested? I mean, come on. Stories, man. Yeah. And they don't give them to you. So what I was trying to do was give you some stories wherever I thought I could pepper them in. And hopefully that worked.
I certainly think it did, yeah.
Real quick, guys, before you guys go to other quick questions, I kind of wanted to just kind of showcase a few kind of like bits and pieces of what I actually enjoyed. I think it was in NeilRoss.com, where you find a lot of his like, let me see, where am I at here? A lot of his like narration, commercials, animation, snap. He's done voice for Emmy Awards, trailers, promos, Academy Awards. I'm gonna quick clips and maybe one that maybe some people didn't know. I'll show you which one I like. So here goes just a few quick clips.
They are the guardians of justice, elite warriors with no master.
Your world will burn.
47 Ronin.
Critics are calling Body of Lies a combustible spy thriller. You're blown.
I know you work for the agency.
Powerful and riveting.
Listen to this.
From the 24-hour newsroom, this is an AM 720 news update.
Time. You can't run from it, and you can't hide from it.
The home of rock and roll.
There are a lot of maybes in life. Some are really fun to think about. Like the maybe I'll win the Super Lotto Plus jackpot, maybe. Super Lotto Plus. It's
Live from the Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles, It's the 56th Annual Prime Time Emmy Awards. Since 1928, the Hollywood community has gathered together to honor the finest motion picture achievements of the year. To celebrate the Diamond Jubilee of Oscar, let's look back at 74 years of extraordinary filmmaking. Live from the Kodak Theater at Hollywood and Highland, welcome to the 75th Academy Awards.
Saturn. Mysterious. Hauntingly beautiful. When the news goes from bad to worse, the world needs a hero. Someone brave enough to point and...
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Biff Tannen Museum, dedicated to Hill Valley's #1 citizen and America's greatest living folk hero, the one and only Biff Tannen. Of course, we've all heard the legend, but who is the man? Inside, you will learn how Biff Tannen became one of the richest and most powerful men in America. Learn the amazing history of the Tannen family, starting with his great-grandfather, Buford Mad Dog Tannen, fastest gun in the West.
That one's my favorite one. I love that one. Just, they're all great.
Yeah,
I think
people
it's
come up
great
to me
hearing
at
those.
conventions and they say, you're part of the trilogy.
Yeah.
And I say, thank you. Very small part, but thank you.
Ryan was mentioning his question about just being able to do the voices and how that's just a skill, and I felt that I kind of agree with that in my own way, because it's like with IT, I can like look at a problem and kind of like quickly give me like 5 minutes and it's done. And people are like, how'd you figure that out? I'm just like, oh, it's just da. And I like lose them after the first two explanations. But another question I had was, what was one role that was there a role that you like, a character you wanted to play that you were able to, or a character that you weren't able to, or you wanted to play but you didn't get the opportunity to voice that character? Was there any characters like that?
No, there have been many I have wanted to play and didn't get to. How many voice actors does it take to change a light bulb? Answer, 12. 1 to actually do it, and the other 11 to stand around going, why did they pick him? I can do that. And so, yes, I have... I've had some disappointments in my time, but overall, looking back, I didn't do bad. But oh yeah, there were some things I thought, boy, I nailed that. The phone is going to ring any minute, and I'm still waiting.
I honestly just hearing the clips that CHRONOZ played and being able to talk to you here. I think you would have played an amazing Optimus Prime. I think you would have played next to Peter Cullen. I think you would have been an amazing Optimus Prime. Just the way, just how you present. There's like that leadership in your voice that you can portray, and Optimus does. That's what he solidifies. That solidifies him and his legacy. And I think, if there's an opportunity you play Optimus Prime, I think that'd be I think you do a really good job.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you, but I think Peter was absolutely superb in that part. I can't think of anyone who would have been better, and that includes me. So there we are.
When you guys did that movie, were you, and you mentioned it before, they want all the actors there so they can have that chemistry. Was when you did the Transformers movie with Peter Cullen, were you like all all there recording, doing that movie together, or was it like we had you guys split up or you didn't do scenes with them? Or
there were many celebrities, and for the most part they worked alone. The sessions I remember, we did work with Judd Nelson and
Lionel Stander, who played Cop.
But I never saw Orson Welles, never saw any of them. I think they all came in individually. So Wally sort of would put groups together when he could, but no, that movie was done in bits and pieces, and
okay.
Yeah. But I did, talking about actors' chemistry, there's one story I tell in the book that I think is kind of fun. Lionel Stander, who I think was 10 years older than Orson Welles when he did that movie. He was old enough to have been in a silent movie when he was a teenager, and he was a real character. People, I guess, have kind of forgotten him. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember a TV series called Heart to Heart. Robert Wagner and Stephanie Powers. He played their butler Max. Lionel Stander. He had this name. He sounds like he should be in an English drawing room comedy. Lionel Stander here, but he actually was a guy from Brooklyn, I think.
And he talked like this. He had this voice like a constipated bullfrog.
And he'd never done animation before. So they got us lined up at 4 microphones in a row. We're standing side by side. And when Lionel would do a line, he would look over at me like he wanted to make eye contact, which of course meant he went off mic. And Wally would go, "Oh, that was all right. We need you're getting off mic, Lionel. Let's try it again. Take 2." And Lionel didn't know what the hell he was talking about. Lionel had these hearing aids. And in the green room, he could hear us all just fine. But when we got in there, he couldn't hear anything Wally said, which I think was on purpose. Anyway, I realized he's just going to keep doing this. We'll be here all month. So I looked through the script and I realized I don't have a line coming for a while. So I tiptoed out from behind my microphone and I stood in front of Lionel.
And he read his lines looking
into my eyes. He needed somebody to look at when he acted. And then when I had a line coming, I'd run back behind my microphone, do it, and then run back around and get in front of Lionel again. And I told that story at a convention, and Wally was there, and he said, "You've got to be kidding me. I had no idea that was going on." Because Wally never looked at the actors. He looked at the storyboard. Never looked up at us. So he didn't realize that's what I was doing. But, I mean, if I hadn't done that, we'd still be there trying to do it, because he just had to make eye contact, because he was an actor.
Yeah.
The idea of standing in a row in front of microphones was a very alien thing to him.
Ryan,
that's interesting.
Sorry, what was that?
Ryan, did you have any questions right now you want to
add? Yeah, you mentioned earlier about the convention experience. So with everything that's going on in the world right now, I guess kind of can you speak to sort of your feelings about essentially like conventions being basically on hold or digital only, digital event only, I guess. And any kind of like your hopes or your intentions, depending how things go, going forward.
Well, actually, I'm going to do a convention in a week.
Oh.
If somebody's looking at this as a rerun, it won't be in a week, but right now live, October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd at the World Market Center in Las Vegas. It's called Unicon. And I had committed to do that, and then the vaccines came out, and it looked like everything was going to be great, and then the Delta thing happened, and maybe it's not so great, and I was vacillating, and finally got to the point where I can't drop out now. It's too close to the show. So we're going to, as I understand it, they're going to have COVID precautionary stuff. Temperatures will be taken, masks will be worn, which, kind of spoils the experience a little bit, I guess, but we can quickly whip them off to take selfies, and we'll just see how it goes. People are out doing conventions right now. I see posts on Facebook from people I know who are already doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully, we'll get through it, and everybody will stay healthy. At least that's my hope. So I will be in Las Vegas at Unicon, October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
I'm actually looking at tickets right now because I want to see if I can go. I'm like, what? Cali? That's like what, like 4 or 5 hour drive.
I think it's more like 6.
Okay.
It's a long haul.
Yeah.
Not that I'm trying to talk you out of it. But,
no, like I've driven to Arizona. Well, I didn't drive. I was in the car with my sister when we went to Arizona. So like, and it felt, I think with drives like that, when you have someone in the car and you're just talking the entire time, the drive just goes so fast. But
well, I've done it. It's a haul, but fortunately I will be flying there. So.
Oh yeah, that's that's a better choice to fly than drive.
I want to ask a question regarding back to the book.
Yeah.
I'm looking up here. When I'm repeating again in the description, you can order your book there right there on neobook.com. But I'm looking at the website now because I want to buy the book. But do you recommend me? Because this is what I want to do. I want to buy the paperback book. They also have the downloadable audio. They got the ebook for the Kindle format and the downloadable ebook PDF format. But what I want to get is the paperback and also the audiobook. Would it still, if I read it and listen to it, I want to do it that way. Would that be recommended, do you think? Because I wanted to get both. So I can listen and also read while hearing you read your book.
Isn't the audiobook, if you get the digital book, don't you get an audio format with it? Get the option to listen to it with audio as well if you have a digital? Or if you get like an audiobook, doesn't it come with that as well?
I want the paperback.
With the audio soundtrack as well?
I don't know the answer to that. I didn't arrange for anything like that. Maybe they have a way of doing it.
Yeah, what I see here on the website, they got the first thing to click on is the paperback book, which is the one I want, and then I want the downloadable audio. So they're two separate, different prices, and I think that might be kind of fun, because I feel like when I'm reading the book, it's because it says includes Neil performing some of his character voices. I want to hear it as I read the book, because that's gonna throw in that vibe or just like excitement. So that's what I want to do. So I think I'm gonna do that.
It's not mentioned on the website, unfortunately. I should fix that. But the audio version is also available at Audible.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't think of it. That's what it. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people have those monthly subscriptions. You get X number of books for a monthly payment. So if you're in that situation, you could just put my book as one of your requests for the month, and it'll be covered by your membership. But yes, it is available on Audible as well.
And then they got the order book plate. It has your signature on it. Recall. Yeah, that's really cool. I just saw that. Oh, sweet. That's awesome. I like the way that again, you guys can find it at neobook.com. So I'm gonna be on this for a bit. Afterwards. Because I need to, because I've been reading bits and pieces, but I want more into it. But I feel it's gonna be more amazing with also the audio at the same time. We'll see how that follows and how that goes. But going into a chapter in your book, I forgot which one. Can you tell me a little bit about your encounters with Steven Spielberg and Jerry Seinfeld?
Well, I've worked for a number of Spielberg projects. The first one was the animated movie An American Tail, where I played the character of Honest John, the drunken Irish mouse. And then, as we saw earlier, I did the voice of the Biff Tannen Museum, another Spielberg project. But I didn't actually meet him until there was a press event or a grand opening event for Kids WB on the Warner Brothers lot. And I got invited to that. And I saw some people come in, and one of them looked a hell of a lot like Steven Spielberg. And I thought, that guy looks like Steven. And I realized it is Steven Spielberg. So I ran over before most of the people realized he was there. And I said, hi, I was Honest John. And he burst out laughing, and he just said, you people never look like I think you're going to look. I don't know what he thought he was going to see. But anyway, I said thanks a million. I really loved being in that movie. It was a tremendous thing. And he said, "You're more than welcome. You did a great job." And then 50,000 people realized Steven Spielberg's here, and I was trampled in the rush and dragged myself away. Jerry Seinfeld. Again, it's in the book. My agent called, and the point that I make in the book is that Monday through Friday in voiceovers, they can jack you around any way they want. They can say, be there at 7 in the morning, be there at 7 at night. Oh, we've changed our mind. Now we want you at 2, whatever they want to do. But nobody works on weekends. Saturday and Sunday are sacrosanct. So my agent calls and she says, how do you feel about doing an audition on Saturday? I said, not great. She said, what if I told you it was for Seinfeld? I said, well, that's a little different. And she wanted to pair me up with a wonderful actor named John Irwin. They were looking for sportscaster voices, and John and I did a lot of that stuff together. We did sort of a Mutt and Jeff sports. I was kind of the brash play-by-play guy, and he was the reflective color guy, and we did fairly well with that. So she said, John says he'll go if you show up. And I'm sure she told him the same thing about me. Anyway, we show up at Warner Brothers on a Saturday. And they actually split us up. I went in with another guy. But we walk in the office, and there's Jerry. Some other guys, but there's Jerry behind the desk. And I just immediately thought, boy, this guy's either really hands-on or he has no life, He's coming in on a Saturday to cast a voiceover. But at the time, I think he had taken over the showrunner duties. I think that was when Larry David left. And, he's a professional, and he's going to look at every aspect of it, including the voiceovers. So I was lucky enough to get the job, and John and I went on to do maybe half a dozen episodes of Seinfeld here and there whenever they needed a sportscaster voice, and I saw Jerry from time to time, but we did not become personal friends or anything. It was just a hi, hello, and which is fine,
Cool.
So that's my near encounter with greatness.
So you have several encounters in there, and you guys can catch those by buying the book and read about it. The encounters of like Robert Redford, Warren. I can't. Is it Betty? Warren Beatty.
Warren Beatty. Yeah.
Warren Beatty. And then Steven Spielberg and Jerry Seinfeld, for sure. Let's see. I'm amazed, and it's so like. It geeks me out a little bit to know that you were doing even DuckTales TV series of Ducky Horror Picture Show in 1987. You even did a Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers TV series 1989. You did the Pirates. Are you able to remember doing the Pirates? In the Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers?
Pirates of Dark Water. Is that what you're talking about?
Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers is all I see. TV series.
Oh. No memory. I have no idea what I did on that. Sorry, that was probably a one-off.
It just says the Pirates, then DuckTales, and it goes the real Ghostbusters. Even do you remember how about let's see? Oh, you did the announcer in the Gremlins 2 also. That was another movie that you.
A lot of the time, some of us. I'm not the only one, but some of us developed a reputation for being able to do 3 different voices. And in those days, and still today, they can ask you to play 3 different parts in a show. And some guys can't do it, not lack of talent, it's just they have a very distinctive voice print. And no matter what they do, it just sounds like them.
But I can go up really high, be kind of nerdy.
I can get down low. I can do all, So if you've got an episode where, we got these 3 incidental roles, who can we get? I was one of the guys they'd think of. Oh, he could do that. Bring him in. And so you wind up playing a parking lot attendant, a guy who's driving a bus, and a cop. And maybe they have 3 lines each. And there's just no way you remember something like that. You just do it, and it evaporates. And that's probably what that was all about. I don't think I did more than 1 episode of that.
Okay. Ryan, did you want to have any other questions? We just hit that few seconds away from that hour point, but just keep on going if you got questions, Ryan.
Yeah, I guess like I know you said doing game roles is really more of a sort of insular, isolated experience. Was there any jobs doing that sort of work, or doing work on? Sorry, I should say doing work on those sorts of projects that stood out to you or was particularly memorable?
Oh, well, the one that I probably remember best is Mass Effect. I was the codec narrator in 3 of those. And it stands out because there was so darn much copy. I would just show up and read the phone book because he's explaining all these different worlds to you. And I just remember walking out of there, and they had this giant banner for the game, and they'd asked everybody who worked on the game to autograph it, and they asked me to autograph it. And I noticed Martin Sheen had autographed it. He was in it. And I thought, what the hell am I doing as the narrator when Martin Sheen is? Because I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember the voiceover he did in Apocalypse Now.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just absolutely spellbinding. And I thought that I should not be the narrator. Martin Sheen should be the narrator. Someone has blundered. But I guess he was playing another part, so, we can only ask so much.
I have one last question. Was there anyone in particular that you just felt you had a chemistry working with any, just in any show? Just like I said, many times you have a very long, huge resume. Was there anyone that you just enjoyed working with, that you had just amazing chemistry, that you were able to bring magic to those interactions whenever you guys did work together?
Yeah, I mean, let me just say that I love all my fellow performers. I always tell people there's maybe 1 1/3 people in the entire business that I don't get along with. I mean, they're just, voice actors are so warm and generous and funny and great to work with. But 2 things that I do remember very well. One never even got on the air, sadly enough. But I did a show with Jim Belushi, and we had a scene, and we were bouncing off each other, and man, that felt good. And I'm so sorry that the project never got on the air. That's above my pay grade. But that was a great moment. And then there was a wonderful actress named Dana Hill.
Really?
Yeah, I had seen her. She was in a movie called Shoot the Moon with, I think, Diane Keaton and Albert Finney. She played a little girl, and she was so real. And then she got a little older, and she was in a movie with Rip Torn called Cross Creek, where she played a sort of a early teenager. And again, she was so real and believable. And I just thought, who is this woman? And then years later, she started doing animation, and she came in and did a guest shot in Rambo. And I played the title character, and we had a scene together. And I couldn't even see her. She was standing at a microphone behind me. But she was so good, so compelling, that I just listened to her and reacted to what she was doing. And God, it felt good. And I don't know what episode it's in. I've lost track. But that felt really good. And, sadly, she passed away at a very young age. She was a tremendous talent. And that's the thing about a really, if you're lucky enough to work with somebody who's so much better than you are, they elevate what you're doing. That happened to me a lot on G.I. Joe and Transformers, because I was really still kind of green. But you get in a room with people like Frank Welker and Peter Cullen and Michael Bell and Chris Latta. Somehow they bring you up to their level. And, you know, that was a wonderful experience.
Okay.
So those are a
Very
couple.
nice. I have a fast one from DJ Rio. You've already kind of mentioned that, but it looks like he jumped in a little late. If you can just briefly just answer. He's asking, out of all your characters you voice, which one is your favorite? Yeah, I know you gone through it with us, but it looks like he just jumped in. If you want to, I think you were saying Shipwreck, Green Goblin.
Yeah, Shipwreck and G.I. Joe, Springer and Transformers, the Green Goblin, and Keith in Voltron. And then a show nobody remembers. I love doing the newscaster Whitley White in Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Oh, I remember that show.
Yeah, that was a good show.
I remember Whitley White. Yes, it's Whitley White reporting.
Yeah, I remember
that was me doing my bad George Putnam impression. Kotetsu may remember George Putnam if you're from the LA area.
I remember the show because I would always, because I wasn't smart enough just to do something else. I would watch Attack of Killer Tomatoes because I think Spider-Man came on right after, so I had to watch Attack of Killer Tomatoes, and then I get to watch Spider-Man.
You're not old enough to remember George Putnam. He was this very bombastic newscaster on television in LA in the 50s and 60s. This is George Putnam with the news, and that was my bad impression of him. Was when it was Whitley White. And they would give him these long, absurd speeches, and I would be this close to cracking up. I never actually did, but the whole time I'm this close to losing it. That was fun to do, but nobody remembers it. Well, you do, but
yeah, Attack of Killer Tomatoes was like one of those shows where it's just like, all right, yeah, it was a it's a nice concept that you wouldn't see every day.
Yeah,
we had a lot of fun doing that show. I'm telling you, wonderful cast, and we had fun. But unfortunately, not enough other people did, I guess.
Real quick, can we clarify? So you said one of the favorite roles was the Green Goblin. Which iteration of doing that was the one that falls as one of your favorite roles?
Oh, that would be the '90s one. Spider-Man, the animated series, it's called.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And oh yeah, sure, that's the one.
That and Batman and X-Men from that era, from around the same handful of years, were my favorite cartoons growing up as a kid. And that Green Goblin is so good.
And you did a lot of Norman Osborn. Of course.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, because they're the same character. Just
they're same character. Did Norman Osborn?
Yeah, alter ego and villain form.
How did you come by doing that? Is it just can you automatically go back to it if you wanted to and voice that if you wanted to remember Norman Osborn when you voiced it then? Because it's different.
I would probably have to listen to reference tapes for Norman Osborn. I have a rough idea of what I did, but I don't have any trouble doing the Green Goblin.
Goblin? Can you do us a little phrase and
That's just locked in my memory banks. You want the Green Goblin? You've got him.
Oh, that was fantastic.
Very spot on.
And if the director was here, he'd say, that's fine, but I need more energy. Take 39.
Take 40. Go. Really awesome. Any guys, any last questions you guys want to ask before we stop? I mean, do you have any questions for us? This is...
No, I just want to say thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed it. And but I don't think I have any questions.
Kotetsu, anything you wanna finish off?
It's like I said when I first came on, it was an honor to be able to come on here and be able to share our experiences with our fans sitting here. Because I swear, I saw the fan and I'm like, I can't not come on here and mention that we have the same fans. That's like my icebreaker. I was like, that's my when I saw that, that's my icebreaker right there. We have the same exact fans, so I'm just gonna use that as my icebreaker.
Well, you have excellent taste in fans. What can I say?
All right. Is that all for now, or Kotetsu? Good? Okay. Ryan?
Yeah, similarly as Kotetsu said, just want to say it's a real honor. As I said at the start, you are literally more than, not with all due respect to the many voice actors that we've had on, and all due respect to all voice actors everywhere, you have the laundry list of the voices of our childhood. And for me, from Green Goblin to I think I saw Slag from Transformers. I'm a huge dinosaur and robot fan, and love the Triceratops in particular. So to see that you did that voice is it just warms my heart. And through
it was a pleasure to do it for you.
Oh, thank you.
You're more than welcome.
And through to a number of video game roles that I had no idea till we were doing this podcast, and are really awesome. Again, check out the Wikipedia and the IMDb.
It's Mass Effect 1, 2, 3, Metal Gear Solid, Call of Duty, Command and Conquer, Doom 3.
Yeah, FF7 Remake, apparently, Mayor Domino, if I read that correctly. And Edwin Lindsay, the archaeologist in Eternal Darkness. I loved Eternal Darkness growing up. So there's been so many things that you've done or had your hands in or worked on that mean a lot to me, and I'm sure mean a lot to our viewers and to just people that grew up in our era. So thank you so much for all the work that you've done, and thank you so much for doing us the honor of spending this time this evening with us.
Well, as I said earlier, I got to spend my entire adult life doing work that I loved. And the only reason I had that privilege was you folks supported these shows. So my gratitude goes to you. Thank you for a wonderful career, making a wonderful career possible. I appreciate it very, very much.
Thank you for sharing your gift with us.
To be a part of this through the years. I have one final question before I close off. Do you have any inspiration, anything you want for inspiring voice actors? Anything you want to just say quick advice for them who are beginning into this, that they want to pursue voice acting?
Well, I would say I call them the 3 Ps. Not a very clever title, but there they are. And they are persistence and practice and patience. And, I quote Robert Evans in my book from his wonderful book, which I highly recommend, titled The Kid Stays in the Picture. And his definition of luck is when opportunity meets preparation. And too many people are looking for a quick fix. If I could just meet the right person, I'd get in the business. And, maybe you would, I don't know. But the one thing they cannot prevent you from doing is practicing. You can always do that. You can always get a cheap little recorder, microphone set up. Maybe tape your favorite cartoon show and then write out the lines and try doing them yourself. Take a particular character and say, what if they said, we don't want it to sound like that anymore. We want a completely different sound for this character. What would you come up with? Little exercises like that. Keep doing that so that when that opportunity arises, you will have done your homework. And in the meantime, be persistent without being obnoxious. And then you got to be patient. Sometimes it takes a while. It took me 5 years, basically, from the day I set foot in Los Angeles to the day I said, geez, I think I'm in this business. Yeah.
Hard work. All right. Let's see. I wanted to read a quick comment and then close off. It was from my friend. He texted me. His Phil Adams. We all know who Phil Adams is. For the other guys who know, really awesome guy. He said, very cool. You got Neil on the show. Amazing. The clarity of his voice from someone who DJ'd in his 20s. I know how tough it can be. He has an amazing voice, and you can certainly tell someone who does this for a profession. And he said hey to everyone and hey to you that he is a fan. So I just wanted to let him his comment that he was a good friend
That's
of ours.
very kind of him. Thank you. Thank you.
And I wanted to also, let's see, as I'm closing off, just remind everyone again, because I'm excited. I can't wait to get the book itself, like to actually order it for paperback and actually do the audio thing I want to do and listen and read at the same time. So don't forget, you guys see it right there down below on neobook.com. Also, the links are in the description for neobook.com and for neoross.com, so you can kind of get more about his voiceovers and things like that and all he's done in his past. And there's another link that gives you more history on everything he's pretty much done in his entire career. So it's an amazing list. So check it out. My last words here are let me make sure I click the right thing here. Yes, I thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm glad for us, to get this chance, because we grew up with you and we followed you and we are inspired by everything you've done through the years and that you keep doing for us, and it's amazing. And we thank you so much for this time. I'm sure Kotetsu and Ryan are glad to have this opportunity with you. And let's see who else was with us in the chat. I want to thank DJ Rio for dropping by. Let's see who else. Yeah, DJ Rio, and I think it's Little Game 10. But again, thank you so much for this opportunity. And I'm going to close out with the intro that I started with. And it's a clip. It's a 2 minute. It's like a 2.5 minute clip. That way people can we'll close off that way. Thank you again. Neil, any last words before we head off?
No, just thanks a million for everything. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure.
Sir. And after the intro, once the intro is playing, that's when we will end the podcast. Either Neil, you can head out, and if you want to, guys, if you guys want to stay out and just say last minute goodbyes or just finish off anything. Again, Neil, you can stay on for a few seconds after we're off, or you can if you need to go, if you need to catch dinner, whatever time it is. So other than that, guys, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you again, Ryan, for stopping by, Kotetsu for being here, and thank you, Neil Ross, for being an amazing person. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys next time.
We begin our episode in the black void that is space, home to billions and billions of stars, but one shines brighter than the rest.
Madam, you can count on Honest John. I'm Captain O.G. Readmore. I encourage people to, read more. Get it?
Let's get something straight right here and now, Ipkiss. No one pulls my underwear over my head and gets away with it. Because I have a hunch the mask is Stanley Ipkiss. Little does the unsuspecting public know that the answer lies deep in the heartland of the good old USA, where something was definitely rotten in the state of dementia. Once my obedient puppet has destroyed his powerful friends, I will activate my criminal army and quickly terrorize and dominate the city. I shall be master!
Stop! You're tickling my tentacles!
Good afternoon, sports fans.
Oh, goody! More Air Jordans for me!
Never! Nix! No way! No time! Not now! Not ever! No! The chase begins! Entrobe and Kid Chaos race their ill-gotten brains into their tin corn getaway 18-wheeler transport trailer to Entrobe's secret hideout in the Himalayas.
I'm very sorry to interrupt your shower, but there's a matter of some urgency.
Double jeopardy, Spider-Man? There's no way you could save two of them at the same time.
Is there? No! And when I am the victorious conqueror of your new realm, I shall ask only one boon. One prize, fairer than all the rest. The hand of the beautiful Lady Dorma.
Turn back. You're too little. You can't do it. You'll be sorry.
Well, you'll be all right. It's just a bent spungamonger. But there won't be any mountain climbing for a few days.
You mean you sabotaged the generator on purpose?
Please wait while we scan for concealed weapons.
This is plastic explosive. Catch!
Ah, Plantagenet, such a lovely pig.
Still much too lean to yield much meat.
Oh, that's the best news I've heard in a long time.
Don't be so nervous. I'm not with Cobra. I'm with myself and anybody who can pay my price. Now, you want to pay my fee and get out of here? Or hang around and pray for urban renewal?
And so until next time, Chili Champs, stay sharp, stay smart, and get hyper!
Welcome to the Gamerz realm. Welcome to the Gamerz realm. Yeah. DJ the Gamer, yes I'm back. Go put out the bolo. No, that's not Mr. Switch, that's the homie CHRONOZ. If you haven't heard, it's a brand new day. About to sneak into the game like a ninja way. And I will never hit my peak though. Yes, I'm a gamer, this the geek show. Early in the morning, I be cooking, see just what I'm making. It'll wake you up, that's a wake and bacon. Other rappers gonna envy me. Wanna level up, yeah, I got my EXP. You better pack your bags, you gon' need a vacation. Following a gamer like I'm Ryan Drayson. Moved up to a pro from a rookie. Shout out my man CHICHUKI. We coming strong in case you could not tell. Now welcome to the Gamerz.